The research ship Harmony moved slowly through space. Its metal halls were filled with sounds from many different worlds. Dr. Elena Rodriguez walked down the main corridor, carrying her datapad and thinking about the day ahead. Elena was the head of the xenobiology team. She studied how different alien species behaved. The ship was like a floating zoo, but instead of animals, it held representatives from 12 different alien races. Each one thought they were the strongest and most dangerous in their part of space. That the meeting room was large and round. Strange smells filled the air as the aliens gathered. Elena sat at the human section of the table. She looked around at her colleagues and guests. General Thane was there from the Vorth people. He was tall and covered in dark green scales. His yellow eyes moved constantly, watching everyone like a hunter. The Vorth were proud warriors who never backed down from a fight. Commander Vex represented the Click species. She looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and compound eyes that saw everything at once. Her people lived in hives and made decisions as a group. They were known for their sharp minds and deadly fighting skills. The crystalline Nexaris sent Ambassador Stone. His body was made of living crystal that changed colors based on his mood. Right now he glowed a deep blue, which meant he was alert and ready for conflict. Elena opened the meeting. Today we will discuss territorial boundaries. In the outer rim sectors, she said in a calm voice, the trouble started quickly. General Thane stood up and slammed his clawed hand on the table. The Vorth claimed the mining rights to System K7, he growled. We were there first. Commander Vex clicked her mandibles together, making a sharp sound. Your people left that system. 50 years ago, the Click have built colonies there. It belongs to us now. Ambassador Stone's crystal body flashed red. Both of your claims are wrong. The Nexari survey ship mapped that system decades before either of you arrived. The argument grew louder. General Thane's scales became darker as his anger increased. He began to circle the table, his movements slow and threatening. This was how Vorth showed dominance, by making others feel like prey. Elena had seen this behavior before. She knew she needed to stop the fight before it got worse. She stood up and stepped directly into Thane's path. General, she said firmly, please return to your seat. Thane turned toward her. His yellow eyes locked onto hers. For a moment, the room became completely silent. Elena did not look away. She met his gaze directly, her brown eyes steady and unblinking. Something strange happened. Thane's pupils grew larger, his confident posture changed. His shoulders dropped and his head lowered slightly. Without saying a word, he backed away from Elena and returned to his chair. The other aliens stared in shock. They had never seen General Thane back down from anyone. Commander Vex tilted her head, studying Elena with her compound eyes. Ambassador Stone's crystal body flickered between different colors as he tried to understand what had just happened. How did you do that? Commander Vex asked. Her voice was filled with curiosity and something else, a kind of nervous respect. Elena was confused. Do what? I just asked him to sit down. No, said Ambassador Stone. There was something else. Something in your eyes. Dr. Marcus Webb, Elena's research partner, had been watching from the corner. He stepped forward with his scanner in hand. I recorded the whole interaction, he said. The general's stress hormones spiked when he looked at Elena, but then they changed to submission markers. General Thane remained quiet. His yellow eyes kept looking away from Elena's face. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, less confident. The human has the look, he said quietly. What look? Elena asked. The look of the hunter, Thane replied. My people have stories. Old stories about creatures that could make any warrior surrender with just their eyes. Commander Vex moved closer to Elena, but carefully, like she was approaching something dangerous. May I study your facial structure? She asked politely. Elena nodded. She was becoming more interested in this strange reaction. Vex used a small scanning device to examine Elena's face, paying special attention to her eyes. "Fascinating," Vex said. "Your eyes face forward, like a predator's. But there is something else. The way the light reflects from them, the intensity. It triggers something deep in our genetic memory." Dr. Webb began taking notes quickly. "This could be important for understanding human-alien relations," he said. "Elena, would you be willing to participate in some controlled tests?" Elena thought about it. The meeting had been about territorial disputes, but now something much more interesting was happening. "What kind of tests?" she asked. "We could observe how different species react to human eye contact," Webb explained. "Compare the responses, measure the biological changes. It might help us understand why first contact situations sometimes go badly." Ambassador Stone's crystal body had turned a curious shade of purple. "The Nexary archives contain old records," he said slowly. "Stories about the ancient days, before our civilizations met. There were creatures we feared above all others. We called them the Watchers because their gaze alone could freeze the bravest warrior." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying humans remind you of these creatures?" "Not remind," General Thane said, still not looking directly. "At her, you carry their mark, the mark of the apex predator." The room fell quiet again. Elena looked around at the alien faces watching her. She could see respect in their expressions, but also something that looked like fear. Dr. Webb cleared his throat. "I think we should postpone the territorial discussion," he said. "This discovery is too important to ignore," Elena agreed. "Commander Vex, General Thane, Ambassador Stone, would you all be willing to help with this research? We could learn something that benefits all our species." One by one, they nodded. Even General Thane agreed, though he kept his eyes focused on the table rather than on Elena's face. "There is a place we should visit," Ambassador Stone said. "The archive world of Keeper. The old records are stored there. If we want to understand the connection between humans and the ancient predators, that is where we will find answers." Elena felt excitement building inside her. This was bigger than just a scientific study. This could change how humans were seen throughout the galaxy. "Set course for Keeper," she told the ship's captain through the communication system. As the meeting ended and the aliens filed out, Elena noticed they all gave her more space than before. They moved around her carefully, respectfully. She had become something different in their eyes, not just another species to negotiate with. Something that demanded instinctive respect. Dr. Webb approached her as the room emptied. "Elena," he said quietly, "I think we've stumbled onto something much bigger than we expected." Elena nodded, her mind already racing with questions. What were these ancient predators the aliens remembered? Why did humans trigger such strong reactions? And most importantly, what did this mean for humanity's future among the stars? The research ship Harmony turned toward the archive world, carrying questions that would soon reveal truths about humanity that had been hidden for millions of years. The archive world of Keeper hung in space like a giant crystal ball. Its surface was covered with towers made of living crystal that reached up into the clouds. The research ship Harmony landed at the main port, where thousands of beings came every day to search for old knowledge. Elena Rodriguez walked through the crystal corridors with her team. Dr. Marcus Webb carried his scanning equipment while General Thane, Commander Vex, and Ambassador Stone followed behind. The fourth general still avoided looking directly at Elena's face. Elder Sage Oren met them at the main archive entrance. He was old beyond counting, his body made of pure energy held together by ancient technology. His voice sounded like wind through distant mountains. "Dr. Rodriguez," he said in a slow, careful voice, "I have heard about your discovery, the reaction of apex predators to human eyes. This is not the first time such questions have been asked." Elena felt her heart beat faster. "You mean other researchers have studied this before?" "Not researchers. Oren replied, "Survivors. Come, let me show you the deep archives." They descended through levels of crystal that became older and more complex. The walls showed moving pictures of ancient history. Elena saw strange worlds and creatures she had never imagined. Some were beautiful, others were terrifying. These records go back millions of years, Oren explained as they walked, to times before most current civilizations existed. Dark times that few remember, but all fear. They reached a chamber deep underground. The walls were covered with living crystal, matrices that glowed with soft light. Oren placed his energy hand on one of the crystals. Suddenly, the room filled with three-dimensional images. "Behold," Oren said, "the memory of the Great Terror." The images showed space battles unlike anything Elena had ever seen. Massive ships attacked peaceful worlds. Cities burned and entire populations fled in panic. But the attackers were not shown clearly, only shadows with glowing eyes that seemed to look directly at the viewers. Who were they? Dr. Webb asked, recording everything with his equipment. They were called the Devourers, Oren answered. They came from the darkness between stars. No one knew where they came from or what they wanted. They simply appeared and consumed everything in their path. Commander Vex made nervous clicking sounds. "My people have legends about the dark time. We thought they were just stories to frighten young ones." "All stories have truth at their center," Oren said. He touched another crystal and the images changed. Now they could see the Devourers more clearly. Elena gasped. The creatures looked almost human. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, and walked upright. But their eyes were what made everyone step backward. Even in the ancient recordings, those eyes seemed to burn with terrible hunger. "They had forward-facing eyes like yours," Oren said to Elena. "Binocular vision that could track prey across vast distances, but it was more than that. They could project fear through their gaze alone." General Thane's scales turned pale green. The old warriors said that no Vorth could face a devourer in battle. One look and our strongest fighters would surrender. The images continued. They showed world after world falling to the devourers. Billions of beings died or disappeared. Entire species went extinct. The terror lasted for thousands of years. How were they stopped? Elena asked, though she was not sure she wanted to. "No." Oren touched a new crystal. The images showed a great alliance forming. Hundreds of different species worked together for the first time in galactic history. Their combined fleets were enormous. "The Coalescence," Ambassador Stone said, his crystal body now glowing dark red. "The Nexari archives speak of this. Every living species united against the common threat." "The war lasted centuries," Oren continued. "Trillions died. Entire star systems were destroyed. But finally, the Alliance found a way to defeat them." The images showed a final battle around a small blue world. The Devourer ships were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. But even then, the fighting was terrible. The Allied fleets barely won. "What happened to the survivors?" Dr. Webb asked. "They were exiled," Oren said. "The Alliance could not bring themselves to completely destroy them. So they were placed on that blue world and left there. The world was marked as forbidden. No ship was allowed to approach it." Elena felt cold inside. "What was the name of that world?" Oren looked directly at her for the first time. His energy form seemed to flicker. "The ancient records call it Terra. You would know it as Earth." The silence in the chamber was complete. Elena could hear her own heartbeat. Dr. Webb dropped his scanning device. "You're saying humans are descendants of these devourers?" Elena whispered. "The genetic markers match," Oren said sadly. "The facial structure, the eye placement, the way other species react to your gaze. The evidence is clear." Commander Vex moved away from Elena. "No wonder we feel afraid when we look at human eyes. Our ancestors evolved to fear that look." General Fane's voice was barely audible. The instinct is still there. Millions of years later, we still remember. Elena looked at her hands. They seemed normal human. But now she wondered what else was hidden in her genetic code. Are we dangerous? Are humans a threat to other species? That, Oren said, is what we must determine. Dr. Webb picked up his equipment with shaking hands. The implications are enormous. Human expansion into space, first contact protocols. Everything will need to be reconsidered. The images continued showing the aftermath of the war. The galaxy slowly healed. New civilizations grew. Trade and diplomacy replaced conquest and fear. But every species kept the genetic memory of the terror. There is more, Oren said. Recent discoveries suggest that isolation changed the devourers. The environment of Earth was different from their original worlds. Over millions of years, they evolved into something new. Elena felt a spark of hope. You mean humans are not the same as the original devourers? Your brains develop differently, Oren explained. You gain something the original devourers lacked, the ability to feel empathy for other species. But the predatory instincts remain, sleeping in your genetic code. Ambassador Stone's color changed to deep purple. This explains much about human behavior. Your species can be both protective and dangerous. You fight for others, but you are terrible enemies. Elena thought about human history, the wars, but also the peace treaties, the cruelty, but also the kindness. We choose how to use our nature. Yes, Oren said. That is what makes you different from your ancestors. They were driven by hunger alone. You can choose compassion over conquest. The group stood in silence, absorbing the weight of this discovery. The crystal walls continued showing images of the ancient war and its aftermath. What do we do with this knowledge? Elena asked. Oren's energy form brightened. That choice belongs to you and your species. But know this, the galaxy remembers the terror. When other civilizations learn the truth about human origins, they will be afraid. Dr. Webb was already thinking about the consequences. This information could cause panic across known space. Humans could be treated as threats rather than allies. Or, Elena said slowly, we could prove that we have evolved beyond our dark past. The crystal images faded, leaving them in the soft glow of the archive chamber. Each member of the group was lost in their own thoughts about what this revelation meant for the future of galactic civilization. The journey back to the research ship Harmony was quiet. Elena Rodriguez sat in her cabin, staring out at the stars. The knowledge from the archive world felt heavy in her mind. She was descended from the most feared predators in galactic history. Dr. Marcus Webb knocked on her door. Elena, we need to talk. She let him in. Webb looked tired and worried. The news has spread, he said. While we were at the archives, someone leaked information about our discovery. Half the galaxy knows that humans might be related to the devourers. Elena felt her stomach drop. How bad is it? See for yourself, Webb said, activating the communication screen. News reports filled the display. Alien reporters spoke in frightened voices about the return of the ancient terror. Some called for humans to be quarantined. Others demanded that Earth be isolated again. The worst part was the reaction of their own crew. Elena walked through the ship's corridors and noticed the changes immediately. Alien crew members who had been friendly before now avoided her. They would not look her in the eyes. In the dining hall, tables that were once mixed with different species were now separated. Humans sat alone while aliens grouped together on the other side of the room. The conversation stopped when Elena entered. Captain Rex of the Vorth security team approached her. He kept his eyes focused on the floor. Dr. Rodriguez, he said formally, I have been ordered to inform you that several crew members have requested transfers to other ships. Who requested transfers? Elena asked. Half of the non-human staff, Rex replied. They are afraid to work with humans now. Elena felt anger building inside her. I am the same person I was yesterday. Nothing has changed. Everything has changed, came a voice from behind her. Commander Vex stood in the doorway, but she had built a small barrier of metal plates that blocked Elena's face from her view. Now we know what you really are. What am I? Elena asked, stepping closer. Vex moved backward. A descendant of monsters. A creature bred for killing and conquest. Elena could feel something stirring inside her. A feeling she had never experienced before. Her vision seemed sharper. Her hearing was more sensitive. She could smell the fear coming from the aliens around her. I have never hurt anyone, Elena said. Her voice sounded different, more intense. Yet, General Thane said from the corner. He wore dark glasses to avoid eye contact. But the instincts are there, waiting. Dr. Webb stepped between Elena and the aliens. This is exactly what we need to study, he said. The changes that millions of years of evolution have made to human genetics. Elena agreed to participate in detailed testing. The research team set up equipment in the main laboratory. Dr. Webb wanted to measure everything: brain activity, hormone levels, physical responses, and genetic expressions. Look directly into this scanner, Webb instructed. Elena stared into the machine while it analyzed her eyes. The results appeared on the screen immediately. Incredible, Webb whispered. Your eyes contain microscopic structures that I have never seen before. They reflect light at specific frequencies. What does that mean? Elena asked. It means you are unconsciously sending signals to other species. Signals that their brains interpret as threat indicators. Elena felt confused and frustrated. So I cannot help it. I automatically make other species afraid? Not exactly, Webb said, studying the data. The signals can be controlled. Watch this. He showed Elena how to change her expression slightly. By relaxing certain facial muscles and adjusting her gaze, she could reduce the intensity of the signals. When she practiced the technique, the scanner readings changed dramatically. Better, Webb said. But there is more. Let me test your physical capabilities. The strength tests revealed surprising results. Elena was stronger than normal humans, even though she had never trained for athletics. Her reflexes were faster. Her coordination was perfect. Most importantly, her capacity for strategic thinking increased when she was under stress. It is like you have backup systems, Webb explained. Genetic programming that activates when needed. Elena practiced controlling these abilities. She learned to suppress the predatory signals from her eyes. She discovered how to move without triggering fear responses in aliens. But the effort was exhausting. Why do I have to hide what I am? She asked during a break. Webb considered the question carefully. Because what you are is dangerous. Not because you choose to be, but because millions of years of evolution made you that way. A message came through the communication system. Admiral Stone of the Nexari fleet was requesting a video conference. Elena and Webb went to the bridge to take the call. Admiral Stone's crystal body glowed bright red with anger. Dr. Rodriguez, he said, the Galactic Council has been in emergency session for 6 hours. They are debating what to do about the human situation. What kind of debate? Elena asked. Whether to classify humans as a dangerous species. Whether to restrict human travel in galactic space. Whether to limit human participation in interspecies organizations. Elena felt the predatory instincts surge again. The idea that aliens would try to control humans made her angry in ways she did not understand. Her eyes began to glow with intensity. Admiral Stone's image flickered as his fear response activated. There, he said, you just proved their point. Look at yourself, Dr. Rodriguez. Look at what you become when challenged. Elena forced herself to calm down. She used the techniques Webb had taught her to suppress the signals. I am in control, she said firmly. Are you? Admiral Stone asked. Or are you simply a dormant predator waiting for the right trigger? Dr. Webb stepped forward. Admiral, our research shows that humans have evolved beyond their origins. They have developed empathy and moral reasoning that the original devourers lacked. Words, the Admiral replied. We need proof that humans can be trusted. The galaxy remembers what your ancestors did. Elena looked at the alien faces on the screen. She could see fear in their expressions, but also something else. They wanted to believe that humans were different. They wanted to trust, but they were afraid to take the risk. What kind of proof would satisfy the Council? Elena asked. Demonstrate that you can control your nature, Admiral Stone said. Show. You asked that humans choose cooperation over conquest. After the call ended, Elena sat alone in her quarters. She could feel the genetic inheritance flowing through her body like electricity. The instincts were strong, urges to hunt, to dominate, to establish territory. But she also felt something else. A desire to protect others. A need to use her abilities for good rather than evil. Dr. Webb entered without knocking. Elena, I have been analyzing your brain scans. There is something remarkable about human neural development. What did you find? Your species developed enlarged areas for empathy and moral reasoning. You can literally feel the emotions of other species. That is why you want to protect them. Instead of hunting them, Elena nodded. I can sense their fear. It makes me want to help them, not hurt them. That, Webb said, is what makes you different from the devourers. They felt nothing for their victims. You feel everything. Elena looked out at the stars again. Somewhere in those points of light were billions of beings who now feared her species. The weight of proving humanity's worth felt enormous. The attack came without warning. Elena Rodriguez was in the laboratory with Dr. Marcus Webb when the ship's alarms began screaming. Red lights flashed throughout the research vessel Harmony as the automated voice announced, hostile ships detected. All crew to battle stations. Captain Rex's voice came through the communication system. Unknown vessels are approaching fast. They are not responding to our signals. Elena and Webb rushed to the bridge. Through the viewing windows, they could see 5 large ships moving toward them. The vessels were black and covered with weapon. Ports. They looked like they were built for one purpose, destruction. Pirates, General Thane said, his scales turning dark with fear. The Ravager fleet. They are the worst criminals in this sector of space. Commander Vex was working at her station, trying to contact other ships for help. No one will answer our distress calls, she reported. We are too far from any military patrols. The lead pirate ship sent a message. The screen filled with the image of War Chief Drax, the leader of the Ravager fleet. He was a massive creature covered in scars and metal implants. His species was unknown, but he looked like he was built for fighting. Research vessel, Drax. Growled, you will surrender immediately. Your crew will be taken for the slave market. Your cargo and technology will belong to us. Elena felt anger rise inside her. The idea of her crew being sold as slaves was unacceptable. But she also felt something else, a cold, calculating hunger that seemed to come from deep in her genetic. Memory, we are a scientific ship, Alana transmitted back. We have no weapons, we pose no threat to you. Drax laughed, a sound like grinding metal. All the better. Weak prey is easier to catch. The pirate ships opened fire. The Harmony's shields absorbed the first attacks, but they would not last long. The research vessel was not built for battle. Shields at 60%, Captain Rex reported. We cannot take much more damage. Elena made a decision. Open a channel to the pirate ship. I want to negotiate. Dr. Webb grabbed her arm. Elena, what are you doing? What I have to do, she replied. There was something different in her voice, a tone that made even Webb step back. The communication channel opened. War Chief Drax appeared on the screen again, grinning with confidence. "Ready to surrender, little research crew? I am Dr. Elena Rodriguez, head of this expedition," Elena said, looking directly into the camera. "I want to discuss terms for my crew's release." Drax studied her image. "You are human," he said with interest. "I have heard rumors about your species. Some say you are related to the ancient monsters." "Some say many things," Elena replied calmly. "But I am offering you a deal." "What could you possibly offer that I cannot simply take?" Drax asked. Elena felt the genetic programming stirring inside her. Her vision became sharper. Her hearing picked up sounds from across the ship. Most importantly, she could sense Drax's emotions through the screen, his confidence, his cruelty, but also something underneath, a tiny spark of uncertainty. "I can offer you your life," Elena said quietly. Drax's expression changed. For just a moment, something flickered across his face. His ancestors, like all galactic species, carried genetic memories of the Devourers. When Elena spoke with that tone and looked at him with those eyes, ancient fears awakened. "You threaten me?" Drax snarled, trying to regain his composure. "I have conquered 100 worlds. I fear nothing." Elena stood up slowly. The camera followed. Her movement, her posture was different now, straighter, more predatory. Her eyes seemed to burn with an inner fire. "You should fear me." The effect was immediate. Drax's crew members, visible in the background of the transmission, began to move away from their leader. Some of them were making nervous sounds. The genetic memory was strong in all of them. "Impossible," Drax whispered. "The Devourers are extinct." "They died millions of years ago, did they?" Elena asked. She took a step closer to the camera. Her voice carried tones that triggered fear responses. "In alien nervous systems, or did they simply evolve?" Drax tried to maintain his threatening posture, but Elena could see the doubt growing in his eyes. His hands were shaking slightly. The scars on his face seemed to pale. "You are just one human on a defenseless ship," Drax said, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. "I am one human who chooses to protect her crew," Elena replied. "The question is, are you prepared for what that means?" Elena could feel the dormant instincts fully awakening now. Her body was changing in subtle ways. Her muscles became more efficient. Her reflexes quickened. Most importantly, her mind began working like a predator's, calculating weaknesses, planning attacks, anticipating enemy movements. "Attack the ship," Drax ordered his crew. "Destroy their shields." But Elena could see that his crew was hesitating. The pirates were experienced fighters, but they had never faced anything that triggered their deepest genetic fears. Some of them were actually backing away from their control stations. "Your crew does not want to fight me," Elena observed. "They can sense what I am." This was true. Elena could see the pirate crew members through the transmission. They were looking at her with the same expression that prey animals used when facing a perfect predator. Their instincts were screaming warnings that their conscious minds did not understand. War Chief Drax realized that his authority was slipping. In desperation, he drew a massive energy weapon. "I will not be intimidated by some primitive human." Elena smiled, but it was not a friendly expression. It was the smile of a hunter who had cornered her prey. "You already are intimidated. Your heart rate has increased. Your breathing is shallow. Your crew is ready to abandon you. You have lost before the fight even begins." The truth of her words was obvious to everyone watching. Drax was sweating despite the climate control on his ship. His weapon hand was trembling. The mighty war chief who had terrorized this sector of space was being reduced to a frightened animal by one human's gaze. "This cannot be happening," Drax muttered. "You are just one person." "I am one person carrying the genetic legacy of the galaxy's apex predators," Elena said. "I am what your nightmares remember." Dr. Webb watched in amazement as Elena transformed. Before his eyes, she was still the scientist he knew, but something ancient and powerful had awakened inside her. She moved like a predator. She spoke with the authority of a creature that had never known defeat. "Here are my terms," Elena continued. "You will withdraw your ships immediately. You will leave this sector and never return. In exchange, I will not hunt you down." Drax tried to laugh, but the sound came out as more of a whimper. "Hunt me? You are on a research ship with no weapons." Elena's eyes seemed to glow brighter. "I do not need weapons. I am the weapon." The pirate crew was now openly showing their fear. Some of them were edging toward the exits. Others were staring at Elena's image with the fascination of small animals watching a snake. "Choose quickly," Elena said. "My patience has limits." War Chief Drax looked around at his crew, then back at the screen. For the first time in his violent career, he was facing something that he instinctively knew was more dangerous than he was. War Chief Drax stared at Elena through the communication screen. His weapon was still in his hand, but it shook like a leaf in the wind. Behind him, his pirate crew was backing away, their eyes wide with ancient terror. "You cannot be real," Drax whispered. "The Devourers are gone. Dead for millions of years." Elena stepped closer to the camera. Her transformation was complete now. Every movement spoke of deadly purpose. Her eyes burned with an intensity that reached across space and touched the deepest fears of every alien watching. "We evolved," Elena said simply, "but we never forgot how to hunt." The silence on both ships was complete. Even the background hum of machinery seemed quieter, as if the very technology was afraid to make noise. Dr. Marcus Webb watched Elena with fascination and concern. This was not the gentle scientist he had worked with for years. This was something primal and dangerous that had been sleeping in human genetics since the exile to Earth. "What do you want?" Drax asked. His voice cracked like a frightened child's. "I want you to leave," Elena replied. "I want you to spread the word throughout the galaxy. Humans are not helpless prey. We are the descendants of your ancestors' worst nightmares." One of Drax's crew members, a reptilian creature with 4 arms, dropped his weapon and ran from the bridge. Others followed. Within moments, half the pirate crew had fled, leaving only Drax and a few loyal followers. "My crew," Drax said in confusion. "They have never run from a fight before." "They recognize what I am," Elena explained. "Their genetic memory is stronger than their loyalty to you." Elena could feel the power flowing through her body. It was intoxicating and terrifying at the same time. She understood now why the original Devourers had been so successful. This feeling of absolute dominance was addictive, but she also felt something else. The empathy that Dr. Webb had discovered in her brain scans. She could sense the fear of everyone around her, including her own crew. The weight of that terror made her heart ache. "However," Elena continued, her voice becoming gentler, "I am not my ancestors. I choose protection over predation." War Chief Drax blinked in confusion. "What does that mean?" "It means I will make you a deal," Elena said. "You release my crew and withdraw your ships. In return, I will not hunt you across the galaxy." Drax looked around at his remaining crew members. They were all staring at Elena's image with the fixed attention of small animals watching a predator. None of them would meet his eyes when he tried to get their support. "And if I refuse?" Drax asked. Elena smiled, and the expression sent chills through every alien watching. "Then you will learn why apex predators earn that title." The threat hung in the air like a physical presence. Elena could see that Drax was calculating his chances. His weapons were superior. His crew was larger. But every instinct in his body was screaming that none of that mattered. "There is something you should know," Elena said, her voice carrying across space like the whisper of death. "I am not alone." Drax's eyes widened. "Other humans?" Billions of them, Elena confirmed. Each one carrying the same genetic heritage. Each one capable of becoming what you see before you. The implications hit Drax like a physical blow. If one human could reduce him to a trembling wreck, what could billions of them do? The galaxy had been worried about human expansion into space. Now he understood why. We spread across hundreds of worlds, Elena continued. We build colonies and trade routes. We make friends with peaceful species and protect them from predators like you. Dr. Webb stepped into the camera's view. Elena, your transformation is complete. Your genetic markers are off the charts. You are accessing abilities that have been dormant for millions of years. Elena nodded without taking her eyes off Drax. I can feel it. The hunting instincts, the strategic. Mind, the ability to inspire fear in prey species. But I can also feel something else. What? Drax asked, though he seemed afraid to hear the answer. Compassion, Elena said. The one thing the original devourers lacked. I can choose to protect instead of destroy. Elena turned to address the camera directly, knowing that this conversation was being recorded and would spread throughout the galaxy. Let this be a message to every criminal, every slaver, every predator who thinks peaceful species are easy targets. Her voice carried the authority of millions of years of evolutionary perfection. Humans remember how to hunt. We remember how to kill. But we choose to use these abilities to protect those who cannot protect themselves. War Chief Drax made his decision. Withdraw all ships, he ordered his remaining crew. We are leaving this sector. A wise choice, Elena said. Remember what you have learned here today. The pirate ships began pulling back, their engines glowing as they prepared to jump to hyperspace. But Drax remained on the communication channel. What happens now? He asked. What happens to the galaxy when everyone knows what humans really are? Elena considered the question carefully. That depends on how they choose to treat us. We can be the galaxy's greatest protectors, or its worst nightmare. The choice is theirs. The pirate ships disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the research vessel Harmony alone among the stars. Elena felt the predatory instincts slowly receding, but they did not disappear completely. They remained, ready to awaken whenever needed. Dr. Webb was already composing his report. Elena, this changes everything. Humanity's role in galactic civilization will need to be completely reconsidered. Elena sat down heavily in the captain's chair. The transformation had been exhausting. I know. We cannot pretend to be harmless anymore. General Thane approached carefully, still avoiding direct eye contact. Dr. Rodriguez, what you did was extraordinary. You saved all our lives. Commander Vex emerged from behind her barrier, moving with new respect. I have sent a full report to the Click Hive Mind. They will want to study this encounter. Elena looked around at her crew. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else now, respect and gratitude. They had seen her power, but they had also seen her choose to use it for protection rather than domination. What will you tell the Galactic Council? Elena asked. Ambassador Stone's crystal body flickered through several colors before settling on a calm blue. I will tell them the truth. Humans are the descendants of the Devourers, but they have evolved beyond their origins. They can be trusted to use their power responsibly. Elena stood up and walked to the viewing window. The stars stretched out endlessly before them, filled with civilizations that would soon learn the truth about humanity's heritage. We have a choice to make as a species, Elena said to her crew. We can hide what we are and pretend to be harmless. Or we can accept our nature and use it to protect those who need protection. Dr. Webb joined her at the window. What do you recommend? Elena's reflection looked back at her from the glass. Her eyes still held traces of the predatory fire that had awakened during the confrontation. We become guardians. We use our inherited abilities to hunt those who prey on the innocent. The research vessel Harmony continued its journey through space, carrying its crew toward a future where humanity would take its rightful place as the galaxy's protectors. Elena Rodriguez had awakened something ancient and powerful, but she had also proven that evolution could create something better than the sum of its parts. The age of the Devourers was over. The age of the Guardians had begun.